Yo, what is good, you darkaholics? Welcome back to the dark side of life, where I will be telling you some very dark stories. So, let's just get into it. When I first started my channel, I didn't seek out these less covered stories on YouTube like I do now. And I actually targeted these mainstream true crime cases and horror stories that have been told by countless other creators. And the reason for that was I just had no idea what I was doing. If you look at one of my old videos, they display my extreme lack of experience in talking, pacing, and it's really all over the place. So I just kept trying and trying with these bigger stories, and many of you actually commented and helped me understand what was wrong and how to fix it, like we are today. Then after a year or so of learning with you guys and learning how to script a story in an interesting way, I felt confident enough to only target these less covered stories on YouTube. Like many of you know, the very first thing I will do when I find a story that I want to share with you guys is search it on YouTube to find out how much coverage it has and make sure it's not very known. However, regardless of the coverage this story got, I knew immediately that I wanted to share it with you guys because it left me a little bit shocked. And even though this story has millions of views across the internet and is fairly widespread, it's generally only covered on news channels and not so many true crime channels that I was able to find. Like I said, either way, I feel the more coverage that this story gets, the better, as it is still unsolved with not even close to enough justice for the victims and their families. So I figured I'd take a crack at it. Previous to December 26, 2021, there were tensions rising between some teenagers that belonged to two separate groups in Garland, Texas. Now, I searched high and low for the reasoning behind this turmoil, but I couldn't find it. Whatever the case, they were not taking this conflict lightly. According to an arrest affidavit, on November 19, 2021, there was a shooting that occurred between these two groups, saying that authorities were contacted by either one of two victims, Ivan Noyola or Rafael Garcia, after another group had opened fire on them before fleeing the scene. They told police that they believed another teenager was the suspect, going on to tell them that 14-year-old Abel Acosta was a part of that group and is the one who opened fire on them. That's all we know about this altercation that is often being referred to in the media as the prior disturbance. The next time Abel would target these two teens, the outcome was deadly. On December 26, 2021, the day after Christmas, at a Texaco gas station located on 730 West Walnut Street in Garland, Texas, at exactly 7:51 p.m. that evening, according to reports, 17-year-old Rafael Garcia, 16-year-old Ivan Noyola, and 14-year-old Xavier Gonzalez were all inside that Texaco gas station. Just minutes prior to their death, Richard Acosta is seen on surveillance video driving the white pickup truck involved. He pulls into a parking spot, gets out of the truck, goes into the store to buy some medicine apparently. Moments later, he exits the store and gets back into his truck. After pulling out of the parking spot, he circles around the entire lot before coming to a complete stop off to the side. After a few minutes had passed, he pulls up directly in front of the store. That's when shirtless Abel jumps out, gun in hand, face mask on, and is seen creeping towards the front door of the store, which leads us to 7:51 p.m. That's when Abel, obviously prepared to kill, opens the door, holding it open, and immediately starts shooting at what are believed to be his intended targets, Ivan and Rafael, during which he would shoot and kill both Rafael and Ivan while unloading at least 20 rounds. He also shot a 15-year-old cook who was only working there, leaving him with life-threatening injuries, along with shooting and killing 14-year-old Xavier Gonzalez, who was only there to buy tacos for his family, leaving one injured and 3 dead victims in his wake without ever really taking a step into the store He turns around and runs back to the truck where his father has been waiting the entire time. He dives into the back seat and the truck takes off. Shortly after, frantic calls came into 911. Law enforcement and medics arrived on scene and tragically pronounced the 3 teens dead and got the 4th to a hospital. When that night came to an end, police had started their investigation, but both suspects were still on the loose. A day after the police released the surveillance video showing both suspects and the white pickup truck, 33-year-old Richard Acosta would come forward and turn himself in to the police. While in custody, he would tell authorities that he wants his son to turn himself in, yet he hasn't, and he says that he has no idea where Abel is. At the time I'm making this video, Abel has now successfully evaded law enforcement and U.S. Marshals for just over a year and is currently 15 years old. How he has managed to do this remains a mystery to everyone. They don't know where he is in the slightest from what it seems. They get calls from people citing him. However, those calls will come in from several different states saying he's there, while another one comes in from Mexico saying he's there, all on the same day, which obviously couldn't be true. They did initially arrest a 14-year-old they suspected of doing the shooting, but they eventually determined he wasn't the one and let him go. They haven't been identified publicly, as normally in Florida, juvenile records are considered confidential, protecting their anonymity. They only made this exception for 14-year-old Abel Elias Acosta, who is now the youngest person on Garland's most wanted suspects list for the atrocities that he committed. When investigators try getting information from his family, they are adamant about not knowing where he is or how he is evading capture. However, the vast majority of people that have looked at this case believe there's just no way that he's done it alone at such a young age. He could be in Mexico, another state, or still in Texas for all we know, but he needs to be in jail with his father. It's fucking aggravating that a 14-year-old can murder 3 other teens and then disappear without a trace. The reward for any information leading to an arrest has only gone up and is now at $10,000, and police are pleading with the public for any information regarding his whereabouts. The authorities stated that they're doing everything they possibly can to get him off the streets and to keep their community safe. They also know that all the families want is justice. 16-year-old Ivan Noyola was known for being extremely hardworking and devoted to his family. He would always bring joy to those around him with his high spirits and unforgettable smile. He loved his mother dearly and was always working to help her and his family with money. So Monday through Friday, he worked with his uncle at a company, and then Saturday and Sunday, he worked at a stand in the Seagoville flea market, selling household items with his mother and grandmother. Working 7 days a week, even for an adult, is extremely difficult and takes a strong-minded individual. He was a smart, well-mannered young man who was dearly missed by his family. His 19-year-old brother Edgar stated, "What I'm really gonna miss is his smile," which was heartbreaking to read. He was laid to rest just 4 days after the tragedy, on December 30th, 2021. Ivan lived with his mother, grandmother, brothers, 2 uncles, and our second victim, Rafael Garcia. Being that Ivan and Rafael were living and working together for the past 6 months, they were closer than I initially thought, and they went to the store together. 17-year-old Rafael Garcia was also laid to rest in the Garland's Memorial Park, just a week after his good friend on January 5th. Rafael had an amazing heart that was filled with loyalty, and he too was working extra hard at a young age to help his elderly parents. He loved his family and had a very bright future ahead of him. He wasn't an only child either. He had 9 other siblings that he cherished. He was athletic, outgoing, and loved to play soccer and football. He was naturally a caregiving and humble person who would often just walk into his mother's room with the sole purpose of telling her how much he truly loved her. His family would say his life was just getting started, and that's why it's so difficult. and day by day, they're just forced to wait for closure. 14-year-old Xavier Gonzalez did not know the other two victims. He didn't live far from the store and would often get food from the taqueria there. When he got home that evening, he asked his father, "Hey, how about some tacos from the corner?" And his dad's like, "Yeah." And that's when he left to go get them. He just never made it back. Xavier was simply in the wrong place at the wrong time, patiently just standing in line, texting his girlfriend when the gunfire began. He left behind his parents and 3 sisters who will never be the same again, saying they have relived it every day since he's been gone. Born in 2007, Xavier was a freshman at the Garland High School, known to be a sweet kid with a lot of ambition. He absolutely loved horses, according to his family, along with going hunting and playing football. He was an active teenager who was on the right path. His family misses him so much every single day, and not having his smile walk through the door is still cutting deep. It's a day that they would do anything in the world to forget. And with the recent anniversary of the murders, they have a renewed call for justice. The families, along with one of the lead investigators, Detective Lucas Shoup, firmly believe that his family helped him get away, which, if they did help him get away, the only realistic option would be to get him away to more family. It's highly unlikely that a 14-year-old would have the resources, knowledge, and skill it would take to avoid capture for this long. His family, when spoken to by police, have been described as tight-lipped, continuing to say when asked about his whereabouts, "I wish we knew." The only thing that struck me as an extremely odd answer from the family was, "The bad guys have him." Yet they didn't elaborate, so really it could mean anything for all we know. There's just no evidence to support that his family had anything to do with helping him. So really, we don't know. All we know is that he's out there. Since they have no idea where he is at this point in time, that leaves their community at high risk because he is considered armed and dangerous. This prompted authorities to make that rare call to release his name. And that's why I'm telling you this story. These victims and their families deserve justice. Abel Acosta, who is now 15, needs to be caught and face the consequences. The most important part of these videos is that we remember the victims and their stories. 3 teens who barely started their life got murdered, and another one has a lengthy road to recovery. Hopefully by now, he is doing far better, and I am so sorry for these families. Xavier Gonzalez, Ivan Noyola, and Rafael Garcia should never be forgotten. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for today's video. If you made it to the end, go down to the comment section and comment "captured" so I know. And if you enjoyed today's episode and you want to join the team, you know what to do. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram at Robert Clausen with 2 N's. If you have a story suggestion, DM me on there. I think that's all I have for you guys today. Again, I truly appreciate your support. So, one thing that I've never gotten correct is a schedule. In my earliest videos, I'm saying some dumb shit like, I'll try uploading 4 or 5 times every week, when it's just me making these videos. So it's safe to say that I can't do that. However, it's time to find out what is possible, so we at least know what our weeks are gonna look like. I promised that I would give it my all, so I am. When you are watching this video, I will actively be trying to locate, script, film, and edit the next video. So from the time you see this video until I get the next one public, will give us a pretty good idea of how long it's going to take me to create these videos. The length of the video often plays into that, which I always want to bring you guys longer videos, and I will try my best to do so. I just wanted to give you guys this little update for the year. On December 8th, 2022, may she rest in peace, my Aunt Connie passed away, and she always believed in me. She made it to 75 and touched so many people during her time on Earth. She was a sweetheart with a very sharp tongue who was not afraid to say no. I loved her dearly, as did everyone else, and everything that I do this year is dedicated to her. Thank you guys again. Until next time. Peace.